Hey, this is Pierre de la Côte talking. I think the first pain that people feel with Teams is the potential overflow of information notifications. And you might think that it's Outlook is a better place because everything is in your inbox and then you can search and so some people are overwhelmed with Teams notification. They don't find the latest post. They saw a post that don't remember where it was, and finding the right information is really complicated for a lot of people. But I think there's a way to avoid that. It's by knowing how you can leverage Teams to follow your work. So let me share a few tips on how to do that. So I think the first thing regarding the notification is to go into your settings and manage well your notifications. So that's probably the first thing you want to do when starting with using Teams. So here you have the cockpit of all the settings for the notifications, and I really discourage you to use all activity. You don't want to be bothered by all the activity everywhere. So you probably want to either choose custom or just be notified when you mention in the replies you're involved. So when you click on custom, you can say, personal ad mention, I will receive a banner, um, and it will be in the feed. So you can choose how you want to set that, but um, if you don't want to have a banner to pop up and just show in the feed, you can switch to only show in feed. So find what is the most comfortable for you and change the settings. So that's the first thing, changing the notification setting. Second thing is to understand the status. So if you're bombarded by posts, especially for example when you're in meeting, sometimes every message in the meeting will pop up. So you can just turn an easy way to avoid to be bombarded is to turn on Do Not Disturb, and then you won't see any pop up. So that's a quick, easy way if you don't know where to mute things. You can also, in the meeting, you can mute the chat so you won't see the pop up. But Do Not Disturb is pretty handy. Then you have messages coming from different sources, different team in your chat. So what can you do on a message? So let's take this message. I saw this message. I don't have the time to come back to it. So you can do several things. The first thing is you can save this message. So when you save this message, it will go um, in the saved bucket, if I can say that, and you can have access to the saved item. Clicking on your picture, here you have saved, and you have all the posts that you saved. So you have all the saved, and you can come back on them. So that's the first method. You can save a post and come back to it. Another method, if you're driven by Outlook, you can share the message to Outlook. You share in Outlook the message, you send it to yourself. Some people like to do that because they're still comfortable with Outlook. That's not my preferred way, but that's potentially possible. If you feel that you will find the information easier, then you can send it to yourself in Outlook. The third way is to use some more actions here. And you can create a task if you like to, work on the post as a task. You just have to create a task, and then it will add the task in your to-do list. So you have access to all your to-do list, and you can set the priority, change the date, the due date. So that's another way. If you're driven by your tasks, that might be the way you want to go, not to forget about a post that you have to act on. And there are more options here. You can have, if you go in more actions, and you can create an action actually. There are several things you can do regarding those actions. So look at, if you want, for example, save the message in OneNote, there's an option for that now. Um, so it's built on Power Automate. It will add the message to OneNote, so you can centralize in OneNote if it's a better place for you, or you can create a planner task. There's a lot of options here depending on what you're using, what you're comfortable with, and this is pretty powerful. So as you can see, there's a lot of way to follow up on your messages, not to forget about one thing that has been said and you have to act on it or read it. Several ways to do it. You need to find your way. And finally, the search. So search is pretty powerful. You just have to type a keyword or several keywords, and it's better than initially. So then you can filter by message, um, and then you can say, am I looking in chat or channels? So if it's in channels, you can decide, what name of the channel, the team, what name of the team, eventually what name of the channel. So you can filter down and you can see who sent it, what date approximately, and you have several other options. You can also look for files, and same thing, you can filter down by files tab. So for example, if I'm looking for PowerPoint presentation, and then I can say, okay, modify by Noah, and you can filter down and find the document that you were looking for with the criteria you have in mind. So it's really, Teams is a really good place to manage your information, because you can save things along the way. You can transform them in tasks. You can put them in OneNote. You can search for them, and not only that, in Teams, everything is already segmented. It's not like your inbox. When you're in a message, you know that the message is in the inbox. Is in a not an inbox. It's, if I compare that to your inbox, it's already in a folder, so it's already in context. The message happens in a channel, which is in a team, so you have already two segmentation: the team and the channel. So it's not, flat like an inbox, and you can really see everything. And the last thing, some people like to mark a message as unread. So let me show you what's going to happen then. So this is a team where I have this message, and I can select the message, little dot, and say, okay, mark as unread, and now I see that I have something to read in this channel. So that's another way, a final way, that is comparable to what you're doing with your email. But I forgot to show you that. In fact, you can also search and filter by team and channel here. In a chat, let me see if I can show you a chat. So in a chat, you can filter by keyword, but also you can see, you can say, oh, maybe I have a lot of chat with a lot of people. I just want to focus on what I didn't read. And it's not just the people, it's also the chat that are in meetings. So you can really filter down pretty quickly depending on what it is, what type of chat it is. And finally, the activity, I think that's probably where you're going to spend most of your time. You'll see all the notifications. And that's where you can also filter down by, I just want to look at when I was at mention, or where I was included in the reply or the reactions. And now there's a new feature that is pretty powerful. It's, I just want to focus on what I didn't read. And as you can see, I'm on top of my notification. So in one click, it's the same thing than doing the filtering. But in one click, you can say, I just want to see the notification I didn't read to catch up on maybe what I saw pop up, but I didn't have time to read it. So now I'm going to be able to focus and click on unread only. So there's several options to feel comfortable with the overload of information. Still, if you have too many solicitations, that's still a problem. That doesn't solve the problem. Teams can help you to manage how you're gonna read the information you missed, or come back, or transform them in task or OneNote. But it won't manage how people are notifying you, and so that's the final point I wanted to talk about, is talking about governance with your end users. You need to set some best practices so people can understand that they should not add mention all the time, but at least they should add mention 1% when they're doing a message. So there's some guidance to align how people work so they're not over solicited or under solicited, or they're not using Outlook and Teams to do the same communication. Hope this was helpful.